Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi, Crypto, and Airdrops, where we dive into decentralized finance, airdrops, low cap gems, and passive income strategies. Today, we're going to be talking about Huddle 01, a DPIN project shaking up real time communications with fast, private tech, and a big airdrop potential that Jeff's going to fill us in on. So we'll
hmm
also share how to start building a DeFi portfolio for steady passive income, even if you don't have any money to start building it out. And we're going to use airdrops to do that. Jeff will explain all that. Jeff, you want to get us started by introducing our socials?
Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Let me just go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Who do we got out there in the
You're
chat?
enjoying this. Jay's in the chat right now. Afternoon or evening, I should say. Where's the little window thing? Ah, there we go. Can you see it? Am I
Yep, I
popped
can
up?
see it.
Well, welcome to DCA, DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. You can catch us live on our YouTube channel directly, or in case you've missed any episodes in the past. Um, Vet had Kelly on, or Kelly Kellum from BitLab Academy. That was a great episode, and you were on his show
Yep,
yesterday as well. So a great collaboration and really tying together technical analysis and DeFi. So DeFi strategies. So very, very powerful episodes or interviews. And you can find Vet at Veteran for Crypto on X, and you can find me at the wrong one, the blockchain or the BCR 142. No, that's for later. And then Vet has his own show, Life, Liberty, and Liquidity, on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and brings on a ton of great people to just talk about life and
actually, gonna
finance,
have a
talk shit.
we're gonna have a great one tomorrow night. We're actually having
Yeah,
TJ from Discover Crypto on, and
yep.
really just going to talk about kind of his career and how he got to where he's at, where he's heading up one of the largest crypto channels on the internet, and
Mm-hmm.
or family of channels, I should say. And then we're also going to talk about the
Yep.
digitization of real world assets and the merging of DeFi and TradFi, because people that watch, they know Texas Jeff. He's career, decades, many decades. He's worked in TradFi as a licensed financial advisor, and so we're just going to bring those two worlds together, and have a retarded fish frog baby, and see what we can come up with.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and don't forget to check out the brother channels, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab, and also my channel, The Blockchain Report. Find a lot of airdrop alpha there. And yeah, just a lot of fun stuff that we're gonna be sharing with y'all. So
Oh man, we got the chat starting to fill up. We got Jay, we
yep,
got Sack Nasty, we got Alexandra G. Appreciate all of you showing up.
welcome,
So
welcome.
let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm gonna just share a couple of just quick news things. Just being a Saturday, I know you didn't have Blockchain Basement or Discover Crypto to fill you in. So we'll touch on a couple of news topics, and then we're actually gonna have Jeff go first and do his segment, because it's gonna lead really well into the portion where I'm gonna start describing how I'm building out my portfolio, just to basically generate just, really easy passive income. Low maintenance, very easy. But with that, let's jump on in. So, yeah, Chainlink posted today, and basically what they're trying to show with this graphic is that all this talk about stablecoins is just the tip of the iceberg. It's really the entry or the gateway to a lot of these tokenized, real world assets that or like projects like Plume and Ondo, that what they're trying to accomplish is stable coins is what is going to be the mechanism that allows that. So Stakestone, I posted this yesterday on X, and it's basically a partnership with Plume, where they are going to actually start offering like native BTC. So Stakestone is building the foundation for omni-chain liquidity, Their mission is to turn idle capital into active yield across the omni-chain world. And what they are looking to do is they are going to the seamless on-chain BTC onboarding, yield optimization using real-world and crypto-native strategies, institutional grade Bitcoin finance infrastructure. Through Stakestone and Plume, BTC holders will soon be able to earn sustainable on-chain real yield, access RWA staking on a modular stack, and retain exposure to the king asset Bitcoin. So my understanding of this is, and feel free to correct me, Jeff, is native Bitcoin is not wrapped Bitcoin. It's not Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin. It's not
Mhm.
a form of Bitcoin that's backed by the actual Bitcoin token. It is an actual Bitcoin, so it's native Bitcoin. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, if it's wrapped, it's just a synthetic asset. So it's not like I don't know, there's some weird stuff about wrapped assets that gets kind of squirrely,
Yeah,
and you don't have the same security as you do like the hard Bitcoin asset that you would get. That's why I'm really interested in this whole Cardano integrating with Bitcoin, trying to use that. And you can still have the access to the Bitcoin network without all the fees and the time that it takes for it to process. And so, yeah, that's I always
that will be
wondered about wrapped
well.
assets when I got into Bitcoin or crypto because I'm like, why is it wrapped ETH, wrapped this, and
Gotcha.
yeah.
And that's something that's going to be powerful. I don't know how many of you out there are paying attention to Plume, but it really is it not just earning me huge yield and Jeff and my
Hmm.
brother Taylor that I do the Sunday show with, um, in liquidity pools, but what they're building out and who they're building it out with is massive. And yeah, Brandon, DeSci is going to be huge. And we've done some
Yeah.
episodes on that if you want to look into that. But again, here's Ondo. The SEC Crypto Task Force met with Ondo yesterday to discuss tokenization, issuing and selling wrapped tokenized versions of publicly traded U.S. securities. So what this was is Ondo sitting down with the SEC and discussing the way forward, the roadmap of how they're going to tokenize stocks and and publicly traded assets on the New York Stock Exchange. This is huge. As value or liquidity is or real world assets are tokenized, that liquidity is going to be brought on chain. And as that liquidity is brought on chain, potentially that can move the price of the token. So, we still very much are in a speculative market. We haven't
Hmm.
gone to full blown utility yet. So, a lot of these prices that you see, XRP is a great example. There is almost nothing going on the XRP ledger. There's websites you can go to and look at it. It's basically just people trading the token. And with RLUSD, yeah, I had a lot of XRP. I was in the top 3% of holders. And I personally, I'm not throwing shade on it, not trying to FUD it, but I sold my XRP, bought the Ripple pre-IPO, and rolled into Ondo, Arrow, and a bunch of other stuff because I heard, that a Ripple was going to launch a stablecoin, RLUSD. In my mind, what that meant, and I've been going back and forth with people on social media. That's why I'm bringing this up. I really want to explain this, and I want somebody to tell me if I'm wrong on this. In my mind, RLUSD, a US dollar pegged stablecoin, is what's going to move the value. People are not going to use XRP. Institutions are not
Mm.
going to use XRP, that's a volatile asset, to move millions, billions, and trillions of dollars when it can move 5, 10, 20% very quickly. They're going to use RLUSD, and that's why Ripple came up with it. XRP
Hmm.
will be nothing but a gas token that is infinitely reusable. Once somebody pays for their gas, it can go it basically goes back either back on the market or it goes to Ripple or it doesn't cease to exist. So it can be bought again and reused. So other than hype and speculation, there's nothing pumping XRP right now. I just, and please, by all means, please, in the chat, be brutal. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about and explain to me why. Because if I'm wrong, I want everybody to profit, but this just is what makes sense to me. So anyway, back onto the news. Um, iShares Bitcoin ETF on a heater. 9 straight days of inflows. 1.6 billion of new money has flowed into the iShares Bitcoin ETF. That's good news, for the markets. So I just wanted to touch on a couple things real quick. So Jeff, if you want to go ahead and take it, let's go ahead and roll into the
Oh yeah.
project that you want to talk about.
Yeah. So let me get this back. So this, I mean, everybody knows what Zoom is, right? Google Meet, all that fun stuff. So this
Yeah.
is Huddle. And Huddle is a real-time decentralized physical infrastructure network or DPIN network. It's like a virtual meeting space. And you can actually add this on to your Google Meet. So there's an application that you can integrate the Huddle app, and it's a free. Right now, it's in their test net, so you can participate for free. And this is how we're going to tie earning free crypto through airdrops into DeFi to earn you more free crypto. So if you don't like free money, you can just leave if you want to. But if you do like free money, because I earned some free crypto this week through an airdrop, and it was like $400 or $500 worth. So I'm rolling that back into DeFi protocols that will earn me more free money. So it's like if you don't have a lot to start with to begin with, this is a perfect place to start. And something like this, where you could essentially, what I did, I set up, and I'll get into this because they have a whole campaign, right? This is the March of the Huddlers, the Huddleverse, and they have a DeFi arena coming soon too. But before I dive into this, I want to show you some of their backing. They've raised about $3 million, but some of the backers, you have Balaji, who was the former CTO of Coinbase,
Well,
and
real
Stani.
quick, don't get churned off at like the cartoonish, stuff that's on this, because
Yeah.
I almost missed out on Plume because of that. And I just want to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
I almost thought Plume was a meme coin with the little cartoon birds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this, looks like it's like a cheesy game from the '90s or the early 2000s and stuff like that. I'm not saying run out and buy this project or anything like that, but don't always judge a book by its cover. Sorry, I just wanted
Yeah.
to throw that out there because I really did almost miss out on Plume because I turned my nose up at it because it had a cartoon bird.
Yeah, and no, that's a great point because it does look gimmicky, that's like, especially the plume. It looked really hokey, and I didn't take it as serious. And I was in the test net. I was like, okay, this is just another fun thing. But seeing the backing, you have Balaji who invested in this, who was a former CTO of Coinbase,
Hmm.
and the founder of Aave, Stani. So you have
Nice.
these two heavily high influence people, and Long Hash Ventures, Protocol Labs, and so Hive Mind Capital. So they're building something. It's not just like a hokey thing, and you can participate in this for free, which is even better. But they have these quests that you can do to earn you HP, which up here, this will contribute towards whatever your airdrop will be, right? And all you really have to do is set up, and I have a couple videos on my page out covering like the whole walkthrough of this, how to set up the meetings, because essentially what you're doing is you're setting up a virtual meeting with, I think they require at least two people. So what I did is I set up one on my phone and one on my desktop and one on my laptop. So I had three different devices in a meeting for like 15 minutes and I just collected this HP. So you could just set up a meeting with yourself and and have it, collect this HP so you can earn free money. I mean, it's pretty wild, and it also helps them test out the infrastructure and stuff. And I don't know what this DeFi arena is going to be, which I find interesting because I know they're trying to build a whole like DePIN network for certain applications like this virtual meeting space. And there is a lot of talk about what kind of information is Google taking from you, and are they secretly recording your videos and conference
Well,
calls and stuff. You
well, that's been a concern for a long time. Just I mean, your
Yeah.
search history from using Google,
Hmm.
your geolocation from using Google Maps. It just I mean, basically, like people say, if you're not paying for a service, then you are the product. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. There's certain things that I pay for, like my Proton mail and shit, that I will be happy to pay for and use primarily. But yeah, stuff like this, once it gets built out and it's really robust, because and you also have to watch out for the Zoom link scams, where people will hit you up on LinkedIn or on who was it last week? One of the dudes whose spaces I'm frequently in, he got sent a message from someone saying,
Oh, I
"Hey,
heard that.
you're
Yeah,
for the X spaces, and you need to click on this," and it wiped him. It wiped it, installed something on his laptop, and it drained all of his wallets, and it was like embedded in the the
the
processor.
link.
So it's like
Yeah.
you
Oh
you
shit.
can't get that out. Yeah, it's like embedded in the system, and he's got to get a whole new, laptop. And you want to make sure that you're not clicking links from any of these, Zoom or Google or whatever
I I
from.
honestly I don't click links in emails at all. I've told everybody I know, don't
Mm,
send me links to anything. I won't click them. I don't
yeah.
care if it's a funny meme. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to make sure you're doing it from these like quest pages.
Mm.
And you can do it right here, earn to meet. They show you the eligibility requirement, minimum 2 peers, and the call duration more than 10 minutes.
Well,
And
you know
so
what?
you can.
Real quick, let's
Hmm?
let's just reemphasize like we always do. You should always be using a separate wallet.
Yeah.
For airdrops. Never use
Yes.
your DeFi wallet. Never use your regular wallet that you're using for the majority of your crypto. I
Hmm.
would dare say make a wallet specifically for almost each airdrop. Just it's just you're
No,
practicing safe
I,
safe crypto.
yeah. Well, if there's separate it from mainnet airdrops and testnet airdrops,
Mm.
because you can you can use a just a burner wallet for testnet airdrops, and then it's pretty safe. But in case you do get compromised, you don't have to like where you still have your mainnet stuff. But I
Yeah.
also have my staking wallet that I move all my staking assets to, and
Mm.
have that only interact with, Uniswap or VFAT, and just very few DeFi apps. But yeah,
Yeah.
have a
I
separate.
exactly.
Mhm.
Me personally, I have a separate. I have one wallet that does all my DeFi, and I
Mm.
have all the the platforms that I use are saved in my favorites, so I'm not like using some link from somewhere. And I always check the URL. Make sure that it's not there's nothing weird about the URL. You got to be safe. There's so many people
Mhm.
that are way smarter than you out there. that are looking to take your money.
Oh my God, yeah. It's really sad. If they use that effort into something more positive,
Right?
it's like they're not dumb people. Look at what
No,
you know, but it's just nefarious.
absolutely.
So here's the little dashboard once you log in, and you have a little schedule thing over here. Um, you can start events, but basically you can integrate this into your Google Meeting space and choose to run it. And I break that down in the video that I did because it gets more deeper into it. But yeah, this is essentially like a free way to earn crypto. You just set up a meeting or get a couple friends, say, hey, I'm gonna invite you on this call and just fucking talk with your friends for 15 minutes and earn points to earn you free crypto. And that will lead me into oh, that's what I want to, yeah. And this is where it leads me into the free crypto airdrop. So I claimed Initia had their airdrop this week, and I didn't even get this on testnet. This is just from talking about it on social media.
Nice.
And
Well, how
I
much is that worth?
it's 90 cents right now. The
Oh, per
token is 90
token.
cents.
Yeah,
So like 500
like
bucks,
600 bucks. Yeah, five six
six
hundred
hundred
bucks.
bucks. So yeah, and that I saw people say that they talked about Initia one time and got like 400 tokens.
Damn.
So you don't even right now they're starting to get into more social media rewards like talking or Kaito, where you yap about
Well,
projects and they
well,
give
that's what
you
I'm doing with
DAG.
Paka. With
Yep.
Paka and Dag and all that is
Hmm.
I'm actually like whenever I post about it, I get incentivized. And I only post about it if there's good quality information. But just whenever I do,
Hmm.
it pays me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just don't know if you talk about a project or resharing, projects that we're talking about or commenting. You want to engage with these different projects that could reward you. And some people didn't even know that they had airdrop allocations that they qualified for. And it's just you never know what
Well, and
you might.
DCA and Prey says sell it all and cash it in, and that's kind of what he's doing. Jeff is here
So
in a minute. He's going to get into how he's
yeah.
using this free money, this free
Hmm.
airdrop money for to basically seed his DeFi portfolio, and so he's using free money to make more free money to use that free money to loop back in and make more free money. So
Yep.
it's like a free money machine.
So yeah, and they have this whole ecosystem that's building out, and they've got some stuff that's launched like Rave Trade, DeFi with perpetual trading, um, Inertia, which is the first DeFi exchange, and what I'm doing is taking most of this and putting it into these different projects like on Inertia right now. I think I deposited a couple hundred init tokens in here, and I'm earning points towards the Inertia airdrop.
Oh, and this is
So
the one where you had to lock it for 6 months, right?
no, actually,
But no, no, keep going with that one. I just wanted to make sure that like so this is liquid,
yeah,
like
no,
you can
that
take this out at any time.
yeah, I think it's there is a cooldown period of like sometimes there's like a day or 7 days, or sometimes it's I
Oh,
don't
you,
know
you,
if
you, you
there's
you can keep going. Like I said, I just
yeah
want to. I know you had mentioned to me before we went live that one of the plays that you're doing, you had to lock it up for 6 months. That the
yeah.
yield you earn, you can pull the yield that you earn, but the
Hmm.
the principal that you have in there's locked for 6 months. But keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'll get into that. And this so what I did is, where did I deposit? Oh, here we go, my dashboard. I want to see the breakdown. Okay, so I deposited 104 init tokens, and it's not earning much APY. I'm just doing it for the points, the inertia points, and this I staked some init tokens, and that's earning me 35%. So I have what, 178 bucks, so 192
Mm.
init tokens staked, and I went ahead and borrowed 50, and then resupplied that. Just one loop.
Oh, so
I borrowed
you compounded then?
yeah. So I'm earning a little, and the APY on this borrow is only 0.4%. So
Oh,
it's not
that's
like I'm
super
having
low.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not, yeah. If it was like 40%, that'd be kind of. So
Oh
the
yeah.
APY is great. I'm earning borrowing points, and so I borrowed that 50 and then deposited here to give me that 192. So I get another boost. And you want to make sure, your loan to value ratio is
Your health
good.
meter.
It's
They
not,
call it a
yeah,
health
the
meter. But yeah,
health
your loan to
factor.
value ratio.
Yeah. So I want to make
And,
sure
and,
it's
and
not.
that's and those of you that are new to DeFi and just loans in general, the loan to value ratio is basically the amount that you are like for this. It's how much liquidity that you're lending or providing and using as collateral to take out a loan. So
Mhm.
that's your loan to value ratio. And what happens is if you take too much, what they call it leverage. If you take too much leverage, like say you have $10,000 and you take out $8,000, that would be considered high leverage because they're going to liquidate you if the
Yeah.
price of your leverage, the 10,000, if the price of the asset drops to where it starts getting close, and it's going to vary, but it starts getting
Hmm.
close to that $8,000 mark, they'll liquidate you to pay back the loan to ensure that the people that gave you that loan get their money back. And so, you need to make sure that you understand these mechanisms. And that's what Jeff is doing here is he's learning about, the health meter and the loan to value ratios and stuff like that so that, as he grows his portfolio, he knows how this works and he doesn't, maybe now he'll lose 20, 30 bucks instead of like 20 or $30,000. So
Yeah.
sorry, I wanted to inject that just so people
Yeah.
understand what you're talking about with the health meter.
Yeah. It's important because if you're going to get into stuff like this, you want to make sure that you're not pushing that into the yellow and red. Because that's something that could be easily overlooked.
Well,
And
and if it starts to move on you, because like say the asset starts
oh
going down,
yeah.
you can start using the yield and yield from other pools to start paying it down to get it back in the green to keep from getting
Hmm.
liquidated. So it's not like you're just locked in and you're helpless. You can, and that's why I always say take low leverage if you're going to do it, and then have some stable coins on the side. So if the market's dump, you can keep your positions from getting liquidated. When it comes to borrowing and lending.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you don't want to worry about borrowing, um, you don't have to borrow. I just did that. For those of you out there interested, supplying is the best. If you don't want to borrow, I'm doing the borrow just to get the extra points, a little more degen play. But so the rest of my asset, well, I moved some stuff. They have this VIP thing, right? And the VIP is vested interest program and enshrine liquidity are the core economic components to Initia's multi-chain experience. The economic layer is a long-term focused native incentive system that rewards users who are actively contributing value to the application level, builders of these great applications, and enshrine liquidity stakers who contribute to the underlying security of the network. So they're really focusing on or putting emphasis on rewarding users and people who provide liquidity and stuff. So they have this VIP system where over 500,000 in it or staked in it tokens or escrowed in it tokens will be distributed and into these different protocols, right? And Inertia is one that I'm farming. Savidia is another one. It's kind of like this little game that hasn't launched yet, but you can deposit init tokens there and start accruing their silver tokens for whatever allocation you get. So these things I'm using, and you can bridge these. They have a bridge right here: the scan, the bridge, the airdrop, and the bridge is pretty smooth. You
So
can move your
those that don't
assets
know what a bridge
between.
is that when you're moving liquidity or from one chain to another.
Hmm.
Like say you want to move something from Solana to Ethereum, and you have to
Hmm.
use a bridge, and so that's what that is.
Yeah, sending tokens from one network to another. And but the real powerful thing, and you can vote. So you know how you um, kind of vote for your liquidity pools. You can vote on where
Yeah,
you
an
want to
arrow
see
journal.
the rewards go, what project you want to see the rewards go to. But the last thing I'll touch on is the staking and liquidity pools. So I provided liquidity to this
My favorite.
USDC init pool, and now it was at like 2,000% when I joined, but now it's at 653. But it's
They're like,
still,
gotcha. They're like
yeah.
2,000. Oh, bite. I gotcha.
Hey, I had it for a day and a half, man. It was cool.
You know what? It's 600's nothing. 600% APR is nothing to scoff at either.
No, no. And so you do need to deposit not an equal amount, but an 80-20 amount. So 80% in it, 20% USDC. And I decided to lock mine because Inertia, they have a validator node that basically helps validate the network. And I locked my tokens up to their delegator node for 6 months. And they're going to give this delegation airdrop to people who lock their tokens up in their validator node. So that's another thing that I did. And I'm earning like, I claimed 10 init tokens last night. So I earned another 10 in a day. So that's a little less than $20 in 2 days. So I mean, $10 a day, it ain't too bad right now.
Well,
And I can
dude,
claim this.
a
And
lot of people, they scoff at, sometimes when you tell them that the small amounts that you're making per day, but $10 a day is $300 a month. I mean that's
mhm.
you're getting into a free car payment.
And this is all stuff that I earn for free. I
That's what
just
I'm saying. I mean, people don't understand that, yeah, there's meme coins that you might get lucky and roll the dice and, become a
mhm.
millionaire overnight. But, if you want to learn how to make, just long-term sustainable, uh, you know, what am I drawing a blank? Residual income.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
just want to make good, steady residual income, that's gonna pay you out each month and just augment your regular job, and eventually you can grow it to where it can be a small business. you know don't
Mhm.
turn your nose up at making a day. A dollar a day is $30 a month. I mean, would you
Mhm.
walk by $30 laying on the ground if you were out walking around? No, you'd pick it up. And you know what? That $30, you add it to, whatever, money you can afford to put in. And that soon that
Mhm.
$30 becomes 60, and that 60 becomes 120, and the 120 becomes 240. And next thing as it keeps, doubling up, it's just one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, I'm making more for free than I am going to work for, 8 to 10 hours a day.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and this is why I was just so excited to share this, on the show today, because it it can it's not always that easy, but when you do participate in some of these test nets, and hit at least one, even if it's $100, you fucking roll that into, I think what I say, my Plume one, I had a couple hundred
Yeah,
dollars in and it was making a
yeah,
dollar
you
a
added.
day. So,
Yeah,
you throw $100 in there and you're making 50 cents a day on some of these pools or whatever and build from there, compound that. And fuck, by the time the altcoin season comes around, you're going to be in a good position. So, and yeah, check out the video that I did diving deeper into this and some of the testnet stuff. Reach out to me and ask me questions. I will be happy to help you guys walk you through whatever. And I got to update my list. I updated my list on my whiteboard of testnets and stuff. So I'm going to have a list on my that I'll actually share on X, but I have a testnet channel, like testnet channels on my in my Discord that can give you all the resources that you need. So yeah, really powerful stuff, man. That
well,
will
and
tie perfectly into this DeFi.
yeah, well, and in DCA and Prey, I mean, I know where he's coming from. It says that this, the init thing is, going to go to zero, and I wouldn't stick with it long term. Get your free money and leave, and and that could be the
Mhm.
case. And you know what? You got to decide that for yourself. And what Jeff's doing is he's using it to make more money, and he's
Mhm.
using some of that yield that he's earning off of this to put into Plume and to put into other things. And if he's plussing up his bags, and that's what I'm about to get into right here. This is the segue into it. Is as he's plussing up those other bags, he's building his position in this Inuit. And so if it ends up being something and it doesn't go to zero, then he's going to have a nice bag of it for free. And I mean, he's the one that turned me on to Plume. He got a free Plume airdrop from this. And a lot of people probably thought that Plume was going to zero. Plume, I don't think, is going to zero.
Mhm.
There's a lot of projects out there that maybe start out, kind of weak, but they build momentum. Bitcoin at the beginning, everybody laughed at it and, was calling it, nerd money, digital money that, you know, dorks in their mom's basement. I was one of them, that's, trading their digital tokens, in their mom's basement. You know, look who's laughing now. So yeah, there's going to be projects that go to zero, but if it's free money, it's like take some of it. Take some of it for your time, put it into other
Mhm.
bags, and grow a position in this because you never know. So with that,
And think about the dot-com bubble. You had all these projects. You don't really know what's gonna rise to the top. And I think you just kind of need to fucking throw everything at the wall and see what sticks and see what works, what doesn't, what to fine tune. And I know the Cosmos ecosystem, because that's what Initia is more built on, the Cosmos
Adam,
SDK. And it's gotten a lot of heat, it's beaten down a lot, but I found I really enjoyed the Cosmos ecosystem just because the wallets, you can swap between chains very easily. Like it's all integrated in there. It's very cheap, quick,
nice. I didn't know that.
quick transactions. So yeah, and security has been pretty good. I haven't really seen too many protocols get hacked like, Ethereum protocol. So, we'll see. But yeah, just take it. And DCA and Pray, I
Let's
will say it's a good point because take advantage of it while it's hot, and then move your shit out and go to the next thing if you want. So I
absolutely.
appreciate your input on that.
Yeah, no, no. We definitely want if if you're in a project or you have a stance on something and it can't stand up to criticism, then your stance isn't a very strong one, and you might want to look more into it. So, like I said when I was talking about XRP earlier, it's if I'm wrong about something that I ever say on this show, please by all means call me out and explain to me why I'm wrong. So I want to dive into this real quick. So this is something I've been working on that I'm personally going to, that I'm personally doing. And by no means is this financial advice. I'm not telling you to do this. It's your money. Do with it as you please. But this is a flow chart that I built out. So, as you can see over here on the left, you have airdrops and you have yield that you earn from, all of these things that I'm doing in the rest of this, little machine, this little yield machine that I'm making. So, what you do with those, and then, of course, you can add fiat, or whatever that you can inject too. But basically, what this is if you're starting with nothing, if you have no money, you can't afford to put a single dollar into crypto and DeFi, you can start farming airdrops to start fueling this machine. And like Jeff, did, he made 500-600 bucks off of one airdrop. You could do like DCA and Prey, said before, and just, what, I'm getting out of it, I'm cashing it out, I'm going to put that 500-600 bucks into an arrow, full range pool, or I'm going to, buy Bitcoin, whatever you're going to do with it. This is what you do with that free money. So what you can do is you can stake it, you can or delegate it, which is very similar, pretty much the same thing. Is you put it on a node, and you basically give somebody else permission to, like vote on your behalf, those sorts of things, and you earn yield for it, because they generate fees from running the node. So that's one thing you can do. It's, very low risk. It's, you're not going to make a ton of money doing it, but it's good steady income. So, the yield that you earn from that, or the rewards that you earn from that, go into this pool here. Then you have full range pools. The reason I'm going with full range pools is it doesn't matter what a token does. It can go to zero. It can go to Valhalla. It's going to be earning you yield. This is a low maintenance portfolio for those of you that want to just earn without having to be checking on your portfolio constantly. So again, full range pools, like my plume pools and my arrow pools. And then you have lending. And so, basically what you can do is you can lend stable coins, you can lend your some of your hodl bags, so that you're earning yield, and that, that liquidity isn't just laying dormant in a cold storage wallet or on an exchange or something like that. You want your money to be making money. Any liquidity that you have sitting still is losing value, especially if it's in the dollar, if it's in the bank, because of inflation. The value of the dollar is constantly dropping. If it's sitting in the bank, you are losing money. And
Hmm.
that's why I am so heavily invested in crypto, is because I want my money to make money. And DeFi allows you to do that, allows you to be the bank. So the rewards and the yield that I'm earning off of all of these things go into, weekly. I cash those out. And whatever I have, it might be $100, it might be $3,000, it might be $5,000. Then that is my dry powder. Now, with that, what I'm doing is 30% of it goes into, back into opening up new positions, it's staking, delegating, whatever. It's, basically to fuel the machine. 20% I buy, plus up my long-term hodl bags. 30% goes directly into stables, and this is my dry powder. So if for some reason, later on, when we were talking about like the lending and borrowing, where you have the loan to value ratio and your health meter, if for some reason I'm doing that and the market takes a dump and I'm about to get liquidated, I have dry powder on hand. I don't have to liquidate assets to basically pay down that loan to keep from getting liquidated. Also, if a great new project, comes out, I have dry powder to, buy into that asset without touching the principal, because, as it's earning, then that can just, basically be stacking up. And so, again, all of these, opening new positions or compounding old positions, um, hodling, buying long-term bags that I can DeFi, with, do non-range positions, whatever, and then stables for dry powder. and then a portion of it cash out. Take 20% and pay down some bills, pay down some debt. Start working on getting your cost of living down. If you have credit card debt, if you want to pay down a car note, if you took out a loan from a family member, whatever, you can pay that down because that's just as good as some of these things that we talk about. Getting rid of debt is huge. If you're paying out $2,500 a month in rent and food and car and insurance and all these things, and you can pay down some of that debt to where then you're only paying 2,000. Now you have $500 a month. You have free money here. Because all of this is funded with free money. You're able to increase your quality of life because you're earning money that's paying down your cost of living. So you need less money to survive. So if your DeFi portfolio, say it's making $2,500 and you make $2,500 a month and your cost of living is 2,500. I just like using simple numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you're living paycheck to paycheck. You have $2,500 a month that you can use to pay down your debt and get to where maybe you can get down to $1,500 a month is your cost of living. So now you have what, $3,500 a month of expendable income. Whereas before you only had 2,500. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this because now you've freed up liquidity to where you can invest in things like this. You can start saving up to invest in real estate, flipping cars, whatever it is you want to do, to improve your quality of life. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Is I don't want to belabor the topic too much because it really doesn't need to be. It really is that simple. Is you
Mm-hmm.
can start out with nothing, and if you don't want to take any risk with your own money, start learning from Jeff, on his show and here, how to get into these lucrative airdrops, start earning this money, and use it to try out DeFi. Start learning about liquidity pools and using Uniswap. I mean, like I am. That's what I did. Is I started out with a couple $100, and I added some of my crypto to it. But I mean, now I got three plume positions. One's about $654. One's about $1,300. This one is creeping up on $1,400, and they are just, I mean, the APRs suck right now because there's no volume. But this week, all week, it was 100% plus APR. So I mean, I cashed all these out earlier in the week. So this week, I made about $200 off of about 1,000, about 3,000 bucks roughly. So I made 200
Mm-hmm.
bucks off of 3,000 bucks in a week. Not bad.
Hey, $800 a month extra. You
Yeah. I mean, that's eight
come
hundred
on.
dollars a month extra that I'm making off of $3,000. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not, it's that's really, really good.
If you get that tax return, you can throw that into some of these liquidity pools that are printing you money. Yeah, there you
Oh,
go. That's
absolutely.
another.
So I guess what I'll do to kind of close out, we got about 10 minutes left. What I want to do to kind of close out is just stress the importance of, you know, and I don't want to get political or preachy, but I know there's a lot of people out there that are hurting right now that are looking for ways to ease. The price of food has gone up, gas has gone up. They're talking about tariffs and all kinds of stuff, and everyone is worried. No matter what your political leaning, there are people that are worried, and there's always people that are struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. The reason why me and Jeff are so passionate about this is it is a very real way, and as Jeff has shown, with airdrops, with minimal effort, you can literally change your life. You can do these airdrops and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It takes a little bit of, effort to learn how to use a wallet. and how to interact with these protocols and to do these airdrops. But I mean, would you put forth if I told you I'm going to give you $500 if you learn how to use a crypto wallet? You would jump on a computer and instantly start learning how to use a crypto wallet. And that's basically all Jeff did was, to get that
Mhm.
$500-600 is he, used his knowledge about how to use a crypto wallet to interact with this protocol, jump through a couple of hoops, did a couple of posts on social media, which I know all of you out there are doing. I mean, we're all on social media,
Mhm.
liking things and sharing things. It's stuff that you're doing already. And, you're increasing your knowledge. So you're getting paid to get an education. So get out there,
Mhm.
start earning with these airdrops, and start putting that liquidity and that value to work for you as a second business. It's like it really is. I mean, mine really is a business. My DeFi, portfolio, the DeFi work I do is a second business, and I'm not talking about the channel. We don't make any money off this. This is 100. We do 100% for free, just to help all of you out because we really want you to to show you because not everybody has the time that I have and that Jeff has to learn about this stuff. So it's easier to learn from somebody who knows what they're doing if you don't have a whole lot of time to do it. And we're showing you step by step how you can earn from these airdrops, take that, put it into these liquidity pools, put it into lending, put it into staking, put it into delegating, and it's a machine that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to earn you passive income. You can go to work, you can take care of your kids, you can clean the house, you can do whatever you want. You can be a stay at home mom or a stay at home dad and be earning money while you're doing what you usually do throughout the day. So don't procrastinate, start learning this stuff and start earning and change your life because I personally don't think that this opportunity is going to be this lucrative forever. The more people that get involved with this and the more institutions get involved with it, I think a lot of these yields are going to go down. I think a lot of
Yeah.
the, potential that you can earn in, by buying and selling crypto is going to go down. The volatility is going to go down. The larger the market cap gets on crypto, the volatility is going to go away. It's become more and more like the stock market to where 10% a year is going to be considered, a good year. Right now, there's sometimes you can make 10% in a day or more. It's you got to take advantage of this. I cannot stress it enough. And the
Yeah.
reason and I'll end with this. The reason I say that is because I did it for months and months and months. For the past 4 years plus I've been learning about crypto. I've heard about DeFi. And I didn't do it because of the specter of impermanent loss, and I was worried about that I was going to lose my money because the platform went down, and just all of that stuff. Fear. I let fear rule me, which isn't
Mhm.
my style. But it's I got over it. I was like, screw it. I'm going to take a couple $100 and I'm going to jump in, and I did it, and I started making a ton of money, and I just slowly plussed it up to where now I'm in a position that when the market rebounds, I've shared my portfolio. When the market
Mhm.
rebounds, my DeFi portfolio that's sitting at about $20,000 right now is going to be worth $70,000, $80,000 if we just go back to our recent all-time highs. Where Bitcoin is at like 106,000 and Arrow is at $2.20, and all of that. I'm gonna
Mhm.
just my DeFi portfolio is gonna like 4x. So that's all. Like I said, I don't want to belabor the issue. I'm just very passionate about this. Jeff, you got any closing
Yeah,
thoughts?
and well, Jay had a question. What about Sue or Sui? Any future
Sweet.
plans with that one? I know that they have a lot of good DeFi stuff, but and I've heard quite a few airdrops. They have this the Sui Play, this like handheld gaming system that people have been
Oh,
getting
I'll be right.
airdrops
I'll be right.
from.
Oh, hey, Jeff, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, he's got to check his food. Um, No, I definitely want to look into the Sui ecosystem because they do have a lot of airdrop plays happening. And even I'd be interested in getting the little gaming system that they have. I think it's like 600 or 700 bucks. And yeah, DCA and Prey. The the whole airdropping tokens and like trying to predict. People have been shilling these price predictions and stuff, and I like to wait until the tokens actually launch, and they really haven't been super great. It's been really tough getting good. The last year valuations were popping, man, but now it's there's one project that I've been farming for the past year almost, and they were supposed to launch like a month or two ago, but the market conditions haven't been great. So a lot of people have been wondering like, oh, is the project done? But it's just a whole like shit show where people are expecting these projects to launch and they're yelling and screaming and not realizing certain times aren't great to launch tokens in. And now that the market's starting to rebound and a lot more positive news, you're getting some projects launching, but yeah, they really haven't been super super fantastic. But that's why I always say participate in as many test nets or whatever as you can in order to if two of them hit, it could be well worth it. I early on I got into the Aptos. I got the Aptos airdrop, and I just minted an NFT that was on their test net. So it took me literally 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do, and I got 100 something Aptos tokens, which was over $1,000 for free. So, and you just never know which ones will hit and which ones won't. So
So,
it's
I'm not sure about what Jay meant about SWE and future plans with that one. I personally don't have a hold SWE, but there are some great pools. So
mhm.
let me actually look real quick and
Yeah, that would
see.
be a good episode to do, diving into the Sui ecosystem and seeing what DeFi would be good to get involved with.
So SWE has Turbos Finance and Navi. Let me check those out real quick because I really haven't delved into. I got my favorites, and as I'm building out my portfolio, I'll definitely branch out. But right now, pretty much Uniswap and Aerodrome are my go-tos for liquidity pools. So it looks like, let's see, you got trade earn. Okay, let's see what pools they got.
Oh, did you switch a window? Oh, there you go.
So, all right. Well, I guess they have that walrus
Oh
is a
yeah, the
token.
walrus.
So here's one. A SWE USDC. It's earning 210%.
Yep.
It has good liquidity. So the TVL is about 1.5 million.
Hmm.
24-hour volume is high as shit.
Well
It's
over. Well
1.7
over.
million. That's actually that if that's what you're asking, Jay, for a something that would be a good play for earning yield,
Mm.
that's a nice one. To that that's a juicy pool right there. I might have to start looking at using. I need to do my due diligence on the Turbos platform,
Hmm.
but I don't know what NS is, so I definitely wouldn't be jumping into that
Uh,
one. And I'm not big into wrapped stables, but
stay away.
yeah, I'll kind of end on that right
Hmm.
there. But yeah, this sweet USDC pool on Turbos looks nice. I would be very
Let's
that's one that
see.
I would probably jump into. And actually, you know
Turbos
what?
Finance.
Let's pull up the chart real quick. I will actually go. I'll go deep for you, Jay. You show up. You show up. So
Okay. So
I'm gonna.
Turbos, I'm looking at their Twitter. They got 1,200 posts. They've been around since November 22, and they got 120K followers. So yeah, they're the ultimate asset management trading gateway and meme hub for Sui Network. So
Okay.
they're
Okay.
the yeah, Turbos facilitated over 5 million in cumulative volume. Oh, for Walrus in just the first damn. Yeah, so they're it's a legit.
All right. So let's check this out. Sorry,
And
it's
it
just
looks like you can
deck
earn
screener's
their
taking a second to pull up.
they
All right.
have
So
an
those are
earn on their thing.
well, real quick.
Yeah.
This is deck screener. I know those of you that come here often. You've seen me pull this up before. It's a website that is really good for looking up these like actual liquidity pools. So not just looking up the price of SWE or the price of a single asset. You can actually look up this specific pool right here.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
basically, what you can do is on this one, you can see the pool address over here on the right. You can see this copy button. So you click on that, pool address is copied. Then I come over here to Deck Screener, click in this top left, paste it into the search bar here, and see it pulls it up. It's on Turbos, it's on SWE, USDC, SWE. Click on it, and it brings up the chart for that specific pool. Holy shit! This thing is trending sideways like it's fucking cool, dude,
What the hell?
dude.
Or is that? Oh, that's USDC. Sweet. Or
Yeah, this is that pool I was just looking at for Jay.
oh, what the
That's
fuck?
this. It's making 165% right now. And let's
Is
actually
that wide
take a
range?
look.
That's a full range.
Let me like I said, I apologize. I don't know
Oh
much
shit.
about this. So, oh, this is
Turbos.
cool. You can do a single asset deposit. You can do USDC only, SWE only,
Oh,
or if you have SWE
yes.
and USDC, you can do I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool. Jay, man, you just freaking poked me into into diving into this thing.
Okay. Damn, that's
I
nice.
I don't see where. I guess I could connect my wallet real quick. I'll connect a wallet if it will let me.
Okay, so you can set your APR. Um, so right now, full range is 4.3%, and you can set the APR, but it'll
It narrows your
set the
range.
range for yeah.
Okay, here you go. Yeah, here's a button that says full range. Yeah, four point
Oh,
three six percent.
switch back to the other window.
Oh, here you go. So up
Yeah,
here at the top, there's it
yeah,
says full range. You can click on that.
and then you can see the current range down under that little bar.
Oh, okay. I see. It's a slider.
Yeah.
So, but where is it showing me what the?
Oh, current range right under. Go down a little
Oh,
bit. Yeah, yeah. I know
there it is.
they don't make it very.
No, no, no. But I mean, but that's what's important is to learn
Yeah.
these. So let's go down. Let's say I want to do.
Or you can go to pro.
Well, here,
So up
here you go.
up top you can
Oh,
go to
okay.
pro and actually set the. There you
Ah,
go.
nice,
There you.
nice.
Yeah.
Look at you, Jay.
There we go.
You're showing us some shit. All right. So let's say I wanted to do $4.50. I think we're pretty beat down right now. So I don't think it will go down below 3. So that would give me still a nice return. 74% is a really nice return on investment, APR. You're looking
You
at
get that Bobby on Whitney action.
and it can fluctuate.
That
Like right now, it's the
yeah.
weekend, so keep in mind that these APRs we're
Mhm,
looking at is in a low volume environment. There's not a lot of
mhm.
people swapping right now. There's not a lot of people doing crypto shit on the weekends.
Yeah.
So this very easily could go up. Come Monday, Sunday night when Asia starts waking up, and in Europe and all that wakes up before us. Then that's our Sunday night is their Monday morning. So, when that volume picks up, these, APRs usually, jump up with them. So, 73% could become 300% during the week. Earning 73% on a weekend is strong. Like look at my, let me actually pull up, because like right now, my plume pools are making like 4% or something like that.
Yeah,
They're
mine
not making,
dropped because I just added liquidity before we jumped on, and it was at like 84%. And then, yeah, I checked again just
yeah,
recently, and it was at
yeah.
4%.
So again, keep that in mind when you're looking at these APRs, especially on the weekend, is the earning is directly proportional. And I can't stress this enough. It's directly proportional to the volume. So the APR that you're earning, and that's why I stress all the time to look for high volume pools, because I don't care what the APR is. If it's super high APR and no volume, it can be 1,000,000% APR. If there's no volume and nobody swapping those assets, you're not going to make shit.
Hmm.
I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
Um, it's look at the TVL, look at the volume, then look at the APR. If you can get like this one, Jay, freaking dude, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, man, but if you're looking for something to do with some SWE,
Hmm.
this is not a bad freaking move. SWE USDC, the
And some
TVL.
will show you, some will show you what or how much rewards have been paid out for that 24-hour period. So if you're expecting 5 grand in 24 hours, then the pool's only generating 1,000 in rewards. You're shit out of luck.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
no, absolutely. So yeah, no. If anybody else have any questions before we close this out?
I didn't see any. No, that was a great alpha, man.
No,
Yeah, thanks for that,
absolutely.
Jay.
No. Yeah, I love when people ask questions. Is I might have to use, because I have about $1,000 of yield that I earned this week that I
Mm,
am. No, dude, I'm back up to earning
yeah,
probably around $3,000 to $4,000 a month just off of my $20,000.
hell yeah.
So just have some really good positions that are earning really well. So yeah, I got about $1,000 this week, and maybe I'll start doing some sweet USDC. So
Yeah.
all right,
It'll be good
well,
to dive into.
yeah. Well, Jay, we appreciate you, brother. Alexandria G,
Hmm.
thank you so much for all your help. Helping spread the good word. DCA and Pray, appreciate you, brother. I know I mess with you a lot, and I mess with your boy a lot in the chats. It's all in good fun, brother. Black Ice, appreciate you.
He's
Blumpkin, Blackfire. What else? Who else we got?
Stan,
Stan, Brandon.
Jammy,
Yep, Jammy
Brandon, yeah.
Sir. Who else?
Who else?
All right, that's good.
Alex, the very beginning.
Yep, definitely appreciate you all, and
Ellie,
appreciate all of you watching on X that
and Sack
aren't in the
Nasty.
chat.
You almost
Oh
forgot.
yeah,
We can't forget
can't
the
forget
Sack
Sack
Man.
Nasty. But those of you watching on X, please feel free to join us on YouTube or Rumble, and join the
Mhm.
chat. Especially on YouTube. That's where the chat's most active. And if you want to ask your questions, we definitely do a Q&A session, during each episode, and would love to answer any questions that you have. And if you, don't do that, reach out to us on X. Our
Mhm.
socials that Jeff put out at the beginning of the show. We're always more than happy to help people, and we'll never ask to get access to any of your assets. We just
Yeah.
love answering questions and helping you make money. So, with that,
Yes.
thank you all. And until next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.